Hi, guys. We are joined today by a senior art director whose work has been recognized at some of the industry's most respected award shows, including Can Leon. Over the past several years, he's worked across agencies in Brazil and Canada and now in the UK, contributing to campaigns for global brands like Coca Cola and Dove, Adidas, Vaseline. And today, he's continuing the journey as a senior art director at Le Pub in London. Welcome, Pedro.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's exciting to be here, exciting to chat.
I'm very
Uh,
excited. You have a
yeah, it'll be
very
fun.
interesting background. So let's start. You've now worked across Brazil, Canada, the UK, but I'd love to start earlier in the story. So, what originally pulled you toward art direction specifically? Was there a moment, a class, a project, a campaign you saw where you realized this is the kind of work I want to do?
Yeah, so interestingly, I ended up in advertising and in art direction almost by accident. Like it wasn't actually very much planned. It was very much accidental. So I'll go back a few years. So back in 2019, um, actually even before that, in 2018, I was working as a musician at the time. So
Oh,
I used to give guitar lessons. I used to play also, like do gigs in Sao Paulo in the city, and I had been doing that for like a few years at that point. And I thought that I was gonna like continue pursuing music like forever. But basically, what happened is I had a friend, and he owned a like how do you say, a studio, a music studio, audio studio, and he used to do a lot of like jingles and like different audio for campaigns and stuff. And he used to be doing that at the time. And one day he had a barbecue. He called me over. He's like, "Hey, like I'm having a barbecue at the studio. Why don't you come over and meet some of the people here?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. That sounds fun." And then accidentally, I met some people that were working at McCann in Brazil at the time, and like they showed me some of their stuff. And then I looked at it, I'm like, "Hey, that's actually pretty cool." I even remember the campaign they were doing. It was I think it was "Say My Name" for Vivo at the time, which was like and they had just been awarded at Cannes, so like it was really crazy. Like it was a lot of information like in one
I can
day.
imagine.
Yeah, and but it was all interesting. It looked really cool. At the time, I also was designing like posters for like bands and stuff because I used to have a lot of friends who were in bands, and I liked like designing posters, which was like something. It was more like of a hobby, but it started to become something I really enjoyed. And then I went to this barbecue, and then I was just like, you know what? Like I'm just gonna start working in this other thing. Like it looks really interesting. So I called this guy from McCann, and I told him like, hey, like I want to join the industry. Like, what do I do? And he's like, okay, first you gotta choose. You gotta be an art director or a copywriter if you want to be in the creative department. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to write. I'm horrible with words, so I'm gonna do art direction. I was already designing posters, so I'm like, okay, like there's a lot of things here that could add up. And then I did like a 6 month like quick course in Brazil. It's called Kuka. It's called creative school in Sao Paulo. A lot of people like usually do this before like trying to get into an agency and stuff. And basically, like in 6 months, I got to meet a lot of people. I learned everything. Like when I joined, this is how crazy it is. Like when I joined the 6 month course, like I didn't even know what like Photoshop was. Like I was very very new, like total newbie to the whole like art direct like advertising world. But I quickly like just it just clicked for me. I really liked it. Like it was different from like any other studies I did where like I really wanted to learn more. Like I noticed that slowly like the time I wanted to invest in music started to shrink, and like the time I wanted to invest in advertising started to increase until like it flopped, it switched basically. And then from there I went to Ogilvy basically. So then I already start my advertising journey like right after. So
That's
yeah.
crazy. Oh my God. Imagine if you hadn't gone to that barbecue.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I always. And the funny thing is, I actually almost didn't go because I remember it was like, should I go? Should I not? Because like I had another event on the same day, which was like a band of a friend of mine was playing, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go see my buddies, or like, do I go to this barbecue? And it was sort of a like last minute thing. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna the barbecue. So I mean, it's a good thing I chose that.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy.
you know,
It's
yeah,
always
it's kind of
those
crazy.
moments, that you almost don't go and you're gonna meet someone who's gonna change your life forever. That's so cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's literally one of those. Yeah, like it's one day, like it's basically like in one day I decided like I'm gonna change careers. Like it was a one day decision. Like it's
I
crazy.
love that.
So
How you ended up
yeah, yeah,
here. That's a very cool story. Thanks for sharing.
yeah. Of course.
So going to your oil v Brazil days, when you first think
Hmm.
back, to your first years in the industry at Oil V and Brazil, you were still pretty early in your career. So, was there something you learned during those early years that still shapes how you approach ideas today?
Oh, 100%. I think those early Ogilvy days really gave me the base of everything um, I like do to this day. Like even from art direction standpoint, from idea standpoint. Um, I think the thing is Ogilvy Brazil, especially when I joined at the time I joined, it was like a great school for like creating, like literally molding creatives. Like they had a system in place, and like if you entered that system, like they would mold you into like like a decent creator, at least know what what you're doing. So I think that definitely helped me a lot. I had like a lot of really good mentors at the time. I had a Deco Cipriano, Matias Almeida, which are like very renowned creatives, and they used to be creative directors, and they kind of like hugged me when I got there and like put me under their wing and taught me like this is how you do a board, this is how, and even from early on, like they were teaching me like case study stuff. And I also had a piece of advice from the CCO at the time. His name was Felix Del Valle. He's a Spanish guy. Now he's in MRM Spain. And again, amazing person. And also, he told me one thing which I take to this day, like, which is he said, look, the best way for you to learn how to become a good creative, how to understand ideas is every single day go to like love the work, go to a awards website and watch 3 case studies like every single day. And he's like, over the years they're going to start to like build up, and like in a few years you're going to have like thousands of case studies in your drawer basically, and you're just going to have this memory bank. And from the day he told me this, like, to this day I still do that. Like that's the first thing I do every day is I sit in front of my computer. I, yeah, and I see 3 case studies that I've never seen before, like every single day. Like very very strictly. And I think it's one of the things that helped me the most, because I mean it's like after a while it just starts to build up, and like there's a point where someone tells you something and it just reminds you of something you saw, and then it so I feel like that's probably out of all the advices, that's the one that like I think really stuck with me. So yeah, but it was essential for my build up for sure.
That sounds like a great experience and a great habit to have. Like, that's a great way to start your morning, like, very creative and expansive. It must help get you, the creative juices flowing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like you see some stuff other people did, like some great work. Um, yeah, it gets your creative mind started. So
I love it.
I definitely enjoy
Very
that.
cool. That was great advice. Um,
Yeah.
and you've experienced the creative industry in Brazil and then Canada and now London. Three very different creative cultures. What are some differences you've noticed in how ideas are developed or discussed in those environments?
Oh, okay. It is very different. Like right off
I
the
can
bat, I'll say that.
imagine.
I feel like culturally too, like a lot of the culture influences in the
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
idea style. Like I'm trying to like find a easy way to sum it up in a nutshell, because it's a lot of elements. So I think usually like the thing about ideas in Brazil, I'll start talking about that. I think it will help me figure out what I want to say. Um, it's like a very specific way to think, where it's usually like a scrappy thought or like a hacky way of like getting somewhere. but which is similar in a way to Canada. Like I feel like Canadians, they like to find these like hacky solutions to things, but it's different the way they approach it. Like I feel like in Canada, everything becomes a something. That doesn't make sense, but I'll try to give an example and then hopefully that helps. So let's think like Heinz, for example. I Rethink does a lot of work for Heinz, where it's like they'll make a physical object. Like for example, they have the perfect pour, which is like, oh, we twist the label in a way on the Heinz bottle so that when you angle it perfectly, like the bottle is up. So it's like you teach people like the best way to use the bottle. So they did a physical bottle for that. Or they have like another example is the ketchup and seemingly ranch, where it's like, oh, they had the Cranch, which was like a product that didn't sell well. Then they saw that Taylor Swift was like having that like product, so they changed the name of their product to like ketchup and seemingly ranch, which is like what Taylor called it, and then it became like a big buzz. So like, but there's always like a physical
Okay.
something, you know.
Okay.
So that's usually the I see like a lot of the Canadian ideas, they usually have this physical something that's very PRable. I feel like in Brazil, like it's scrappy in a different way. It's usually like you find a hack, or you find like a little cultural thing that you can play with. Like I worked on this idea at Ogilvy when I was there, which was called Magic Audios for Coke. And basically it's like, oh, if you draw a Coca-Cola bottle using a WhatsApp audio, you get like a Christmas gift, was the idea.
Oh,
So it's hacky in that way, where it's
okay.
like
I get it.
it's like you do this thing, or you find like this little like, you know, detail and culture and like twist that. I feel like a lot of the ideas there, they tend to go in that direction, and they used to be simpler. Where here, I think it's like usually an object, or like it exists somewhere, and that is like something very PRable. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense, because I'm trying to express this as I'm thinking about it, but there is a difference. Is where I'm trying to get
Oh
to.
my God. And now in London, it's going to be a whole other different universe too.
Oh yeah, and London's a whole different story. I mean, also like the writing. I mean, I'm an art director, but I noticed this. Like the writing in London is also very peculiar compared to like
Yeah.
Canada, and compared to Brazil too. Art directionally too, it's very different. I think that's another big difference. Like Brazilians, they have a more everything is feels very design oriented. Like every piece, it's like very designy, I guess is the best way to say. And here in Canada, I feel like there's a difference between like design and like advertising. Like advertising looks like advertising, design looks like design. In Brazil, it's like no, no, no. Like advertising looks like design, and design also looks like design. So I think there's more of a design feel to art direction in Brazil compared to here. So
That's so
I think
cool.
that might be actually a better difference than the first one I said. So
But it's so cool that you have gone into to experience all these different cultures and ways of thinking. Um, I guess that really stays with you. That really shapes you. You know, all those different
oh,
cultures.
100%.
Very cool. Um, so art direction often lives, at the intersection of visual storytelling and conceptual thinking. So when a brief lands on your desk, what's the first thing your brain naturally gravitates towards? Is it the visual world, the insight behind the ideas, or something else entirely?
Honestly, I think it really depends on the brief. It could go anywhere, but I'd say that I'm a very visual thinking type
Okay.
person. So usually I'll look for insights, but the insights I'll usually go for, they're very visual.
Oh,
Like I'll try to find something visual within the brief that I can use. Like there's always a visual approach. I'd say I'm not gonna think very like concept. Like my brain isn't gonna go in that direction. It's gonna go visually what we can show, or even if I'm thinking about a film, like I'm not gonna think so much about like the structure. I'm gonna think about like what's the style, what's the visual reference, like what's an element that we can use that visually can represent this. So I feel like that's the best way to put it. I think it's just I'm always gonna start. thinking stylistically, where can this go? And insights that like can lead to ideas, but can lead to ideas that have a visual foundation. I think for the, like in the Coke example,
Mhm.
like again, it's like it's a bottle, so like you visually, it's like a visual insight. It's like, oh, this thing draws a bottle, so like you go in that direction. I think that's where my brain tends to go
Very
towards.
cool, very interesting. And you mentioned loving to craft each idea to its full potential. So can you walk us through what that actually looks like in practice? Like what are the steps between a raw idea and something that's truly ready to present or produce?
Yeah. Okay. So when I say that, I think it's basically that the craft, it's never finished in my mind. Like during that, throughout the whole process, like you're always visually trying to make it look a little bit better
Yeah.
incrementally. I even have a, like my philosophy, if I had to like encompass it, it's basically that you don't, it doesn't really end. It's that you run out of time to keep on making it better. So
Yeah.
I think that's that's my philosophy. It's like I'll just keep going until it's like, oh, if we have to deliver this day, or if like production has to end this day, like on that day, like is what it's like. I'll try to, until that day, get as many options, get it, push as much as I can, like fix the minimal details. Like I think for me, it's like it's really hard. Again, like I don't know. I just feel like it's never 100%. So which is okay too. Like I know that, you know, it sometimes we gotta, you know, settle with what we're able to do. So I just try to push it as much as I can, and then it's like once we're out of time, it's like, oh, we're out of time. We'll just go with what we have. So yeah, I think that that's kind of the best way to explain that.
And you have worked on brands like we just mentioned Coca-Cola, Dove, Adidas, Hellmann's, brands that already have
Mhm.
strong identities and global recognition. So when working on a brand that big, how do you balance respecting the brand's legacy while still pushing something new creatively?
Yeah, I think that's always the tricky
Yeah.
part, you know, because it's tricky, but it also helps you in a weird way because the brand has a legacy visually, especially if we're talking strictly visually. Like they already have a legacy that you can lean on, which is nice. So, like if you're working on Coke, like obviously you're gonna want to lean on things like the bottle shape, like the ribbon, which is like the, you
Yeah.
know, the famous you know, Coke shape. They used to have it in the can, they don't anymore, but they still use it like on some communication. So it's cool because you can kind of lean on those assets, but it's all about finding like what's a new way to basically do what this brand's been doing for like, I don't know, 100 years. And when you can find like, okay, this is another way to say what they've been saying for 100 years,
Wow.
like if it, yeah, it's when it's special, you know. So like um yeah, I feel like that's the best way to put it, I think.
Cool. I love that. And your work has been, like we mentioned, also recognized at Cannes Lion and DNAD, I'm sorry, and the one so Clio. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this.
All good. Yeah, yeah, it's all correct, all correct, all
So
good.
when people see award-winning work, it can look like the idea appeared fully formed. So, but in reality, how messy is that process? I mean, what usually happens between the first version of an idea and the one that finally makes it out into the world?
Oh, it's very messy. Yeah, so yeah. Um Ooh, like there's so many versions. Like when it gets out, it's so different, I think, from where it started in my experience. Again, creatives will give you different visions depending on like what they worked on how they worked or where. But on everything I've worked at, it's always been a roller coaster ride. Like there hasn't been one like project I've worked on where I was like, oh, that was smooth. Like we just had an idea and that was that. It's like no, there's always endless like client presentations and like legal present. Like the thing is, I feel like there's always this challenge to um you know, find a balance between like what you can do, what's within the guidelines, what's also creative, what is going to be like attention grabbing, but what's inside the brand strategy as well. Cause like there's also that thing, like I can't just go ahead and do like this wild idea that makes no sense for the brand.
Yeah.
Like it can be cool, it can be awesome, but it can be a work of art, but like we're not we're not like artists at the end of the day. Like we're art directors. We're doing things that help the business. So it's always that tricky thing. And because of that, there are so many presentations that go into making an idea, like from Coke to Dove, Adidas, like all those brands I've worked on. There were so many back and forth with clients. But the cool thing is, like on all those projects, like the clients always bought into the idea, and I think that's the best part. Actually, like I feel like a lot of creatives see the clients almost as like their enemies in a way. That's like, oh, they want to like kill my creative work. But I tend to think a little different. I think that like they're more like partners. And when you find clients that believe in what you're saying and like you actually listen to what they have to say, like they can actually build your idea like a lot. Like they can actually contribute. And I feel like that's the moment where the magic happens too. Like when you understand them, you know, grab what they have, and you know, it just becomes something, and that something is special, I
That's
think.
cool. That's a cool way to see it. And in big agencies and big campaigns, there can be, a lot of pressure, timelines, expectations, clients. So how do you personally protect the sense of curiosity or play that makes great ideas possible?
I think it's really tricky, I guess is the best way to put it, because there is a lot of like pressure and there is a lot of anxiety, I think too, because sometimes you're at a point where it's like, okay, we had this idea, sometimes it's already in production or pre-production, it's like, or you're waiting for a sign off, and it's that moment where it's like, I don't have an answer if like this is actually going to go somewhere or not. And I think that moment is very anxiety inducing because it's out of your control. It's like, okay, now it's with legal, or now it's with the client. Like they're figuring out the budget. They'll see if they can or can't do it. I feel like that moment, it's hard, and I wish I had the answer, but I don't think I do. Like because also, like, again, you'll have to focus on something else at that moment. It's hard to do it, but I don't know. It's a struggle for me, I guess, is the most honest answer I can
That's valid.
give. If I like, yeah, I think you just gotta focus on something else. If I had to give an advice to someone, I'd say like just really try to focus on something else. Try not to think about like the approval process. Like just focus on another project. Get your headspace somewhere else, and try to see if that helps. But it is difficult though. Like I'm not gonna lie, and for me too. So yeah.
That's a good advice. That's a good advice. And you've worked inside several major agencies now. So when you look at the teams that produce the strongest work, what do they tend to do differently in how they collaborate or challenge ideas?
Yeah, I mean, definitely different from agency to agency, I'd say. Um, One thing I think is like a challenge in a lot of agencies nowadays is the contribution process. And here's what I mean by that. I feel like usually, for example, a team will have an idea, or like someone will have an idea, and they'll usually try to be very protective of
Yeah.
it because in a way it's like their baby, right? They had the initial thought, and it's like, oh, this is my idea. Like I can't like let other people touch it. Like, which is good in a way because like you need to obviously protect your idea, but also you need to let other people help
Yeah.
you make that idea happen. Like you having an idea in your mind doesn't really mean anything. Like we don't talk about like creativity or, you know, work for brands in ideas that were hypothetical, like in our brains. No, we talk about work that's out in the real world. So the places I've most enjoyed working was where like everyone in the creative department, it's okay. Like this idea, the initial thought came from so and so, but they were open to like, okay, like let's get everyone on it. Like let's all contribute. Let's all try to make it happen. And that's usually when it happens too, because when you don't have like this ego of being like, oh, this is mine, I feel like that's when the magic happens. And I was very lucky to work in a lot of teams that were like that. In Ogilvy Canada, in Ogilvy Brazil too, I had a very contributive team at Publicis and even at Le Pub. On honest, like in this sense, I can't complain. Like I feel like for most of my career, I've worked with great teams, but I know a lot of stories of people who sometimes let the ego get in the way, and Yeah, I'd say the best thing for great work is just, like let everyone jump. Like it's okay. Like it's okay that the idea is yours, but like let other people help
Yeah,
you. Like you're not going to do it alone. Like you need the help. So yeah, that's my philosophy on
that's
that.
cool. And
Hmm.
some ideas win awards and others just stay with you for personal reasons. So, is there a campaign or idea you worked on that feels especially meaningful to you, even beyond recognition or results?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of special ideas. I think to me, there's one. I think I'll talk about two here, which are like very fresh to me. So I think that I tend to really enjoy like the recent stuff that's coming out. Like I obviously I love my work from like 2 years, 3 years ago, but I also love the stuff that's like from last year, for example. So I think the two pieces of work from last year that I really enjoyed producing was the first idea was one for TD Bank. So it's a TD Bank's like a big bank here in Canada, and they had this challenge which was they were promoting partial shares, which means you can like own a fraction of a major stock like from Apple or from Samsung. But the problem is like they can't show the logos of any of these big stocks that you can own, right? Because you don't know the trademarks to any of that. So we did this idea, which is we built these billboards in front of like Apple stores or Samsung stores, and we just cut a little hole in the billboard so that when you look through the billboard, through the hole, you can see like part of the Apple
No
logo, and it's
way.
just yeah, like super simple, and it's written own a piece of it. And I'll also shout out to Chris and Audrey from Ogilvy. They were the ones like who initially had this thought, and again grateful to them for bringing me on. But it's yeah, but it's like this simple idea, and you just see through the billboard, and it's like own a piece of it. TD Bank, invest in partial shares, a little window. So that's one that
That's cool.
I really enjoyed, and yeah, so I'd say that's the first one, and oh yeah, and I guess what are your thoughts too? I'm curious. I always like to hear other people's thoughts on some of the ideas.
On what? The one you just told me.
Yeah, on this one.
That
Yeah,
was so,
yeah,
I thought it was very creative. It was a creative way of solving a problem. And it turned, I want to see it. I want to see this. After we hang up, I'm going to Google it. You need to tell me the name.
yeah. I mean, if you research on Google, TD fractional window shopping, you'll find it. It'll be the first one. So
I thought it was cheeky,
yeah,
like, that's smart. Yeah,
yeah. I like the some cheeky
it's
ideas.
like, absolutely.
And yeah, and then I was gonna say, and then the other one, which was also from last year. Um, so basically, it's a Dairy Queen idea, right? So the ice cream, very popular here in Canada. During the summer, it's like exploding. Like everyone's buying it. Sales are at a high.
Rocket.
Yeah, but then when fall comes around, like their sales just plummet and drop. And we had this challenge, which is like how can we keep people interested in buying Dairy Queen throughout the fall season, basically, and into the colder months. And then we had this idea, which was kind of counterintuitive, but also made a lot of sense. Which is like during the fall, you have like trillions, like I don't know how many maple leaves, like literally fall everywhere here in Canada. Like you go into the street, like there's maple leaf everywhere. And then we were looking at those things, and it's like, okay, what if we use that to make people want to go to Dairy Queen? So our idea was basically it's called falling coupons, and I mean it's called falling codes. Sorry. And the idea is we created this lens where you can scan a maple leaf and it turns it into a Dairy Queen coupon,
No
basically.
way.
Yeah. So it's basically like turning maple leafs into coupons to like reverse this issue that Dairy Queen had with the sales during the fall season.
Oh my
So
God, that's so
um,
clever. So you
yeah,
can
it's thank you.
literally
I appreciate it.
take your maple leaf and that's a coupon for an ice cream. That's
Yeah,
clever.
that's basically what the idea is. It was again, and I loved working on this one. It was really fun. There was even an outlet. I think it was like I think it was CBS. I can't remember where they even called it. They're like, oh, this is one of the biggest coupon campaigns ever because there's like apparently I don't know how many trillion maple leafs everywhere. So I was like, it made me happy to see that like people understood it, and culturally for Canada, it also made a lot of sense because like the
Yeah,
maple leaf. I mean, it's not on the Canadian
no,
flag. Like it's
icon.
so
Yeah, it's an icon of them. Yeah, and people always
yeah,
love a
yeah,
good deal.
yeah. Exactly. Oh yeah, people love a good deal. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I like it's funny again. There's people who don't really like promotional ideas and advertising creatives. Like some people have a bad view of them, but I'll be honest, I love a nice promo idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's also fun to think about it too, because you think about this like it's almost a formula. It's like you do this and you get this. You just need to think about like what am I going to ask people to do? Like if you find a fun thing, like you have a cool project, like it's not hard to I think about promos. I think so. I love thinking promos. I think it's always
Yeah,
fun.
absolutely. That was very, very fun. Very fun. And
Awesome.
I
Thank
mean,
you. I appreciate
what?
it.
But I'm curious. Like, you took the leaf to the a store?
Oh yeah, so we had like a Snapchat
Oh,
lens,
okay.
and then all you had to do was scan the leaf, and then when you scanned the leaf, like it unlocked the ice cream basically.
That's
So
awesome.
and then you could like redeem on the store, or you could order at home, like anything really. So
Very cool. I'm bummed that I wasn't
thank
in
you.
Canada when this was all happening.
Oh yeah, Russ. I mean, you could have gotten a lot of extra ice cream. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And you're still relatively early in your career, but already very accomplished. So when you meet younger creatives entering advertising today, what's something you wish more people understood about building a career in this industry?
Um, I think that for me, again, I'm still early in my career. At least I consider myself early. I'm still very curious. Like I think that that's one thing I never want to lose
I love it.
my curiosity. But what I'd say to someone who's like starting, like okay, this is their first like couple
Yeah,
months within an agency. Um, I think that always focus on the ideas and the work. Like I think that's something important. I feel like obviously networking is essential. I feel like without networking, like we're not going anywhere. But I feel like we also need to focus on our craft, like on our work, like because you can have all the network you want, but like if you have nothing to show for yourself, like no one's really gonna stop and like listen to you. But if you have like focused on your craft and you have just the all the abilities, all the work, and you can just show that to someone, I feel like that's when it's special. So I'd say, yeah, like someone who's starting, like just focus on the craft and being like being curious. I think is
yeah,
the best
I
thing.
love that.
And honestly, I'm gonna steal the advice from Felix, which is like watch 3 case studies a day. Like
Yeah,
that's that's like I honestly I think that's like 50% or maybe more of like everything I've learned was off that one piece of advice. So I'm gonna pass it on.
I love
Uh,
that.
yeah.
Very cool. And before we wrap up, we love giving guests the chance to recognize the people who helped shape their journey. So looking back at your career, is there, one, two, three people who had a real impact on your growth? Mentors, collaborators, leaders who helped push you forward. To give them a shout out.
Oh, 100%. So, I mean, first of all, Francesco Grandi, um, ex CCO of Ogilvy Canada, now the CCO at Le Pub London, which I'm working under him again.
Oh,
He's
cool.
been, yeah, yeah. Um, he's been like the greatest mentor I've had all my career. Like, basically taught me like most of what I know. Like, obviously, Ogilvy Brazil gave me a good base, but I think he's the one who really opened my eyes to like what the industry was at like I'd say at a broader sense, right? Because I feel like all the creative skills I got at Ogilvy Brazil, but I didn't really understand like the industry. I feel like Fran was the guy who really showed me like this is what the industry is, like this is what makes good work. This is how you make good work as well. I feel like I could understand what good work was, but he was really the guy who showed me like, okay, like this is how you make it happen. And then I was like, whoa, okay, like this is awesome. So huge shout out to him. And then two other people I think I want to give a shout out to is Rubens Casanova, who was my he's the CCO for Ogilvy One in Brazil. So I worked under him for several years. Also taught me a lot of things. He put me in a lot of uncomfortable situations that helped me grow, which was awesome. He would like send me to client presentations, and like when I was still a junior, and it was like intimidating, but looking back, I'm like, yeah, that really helped me. And also, I want to give a shout out to, which I already mentioned before, but Teco Cipriano and Matias Almeida, the guys who, you know, picked me up from day one and helped me out through the beginning. Cause obviously like the beginning's so tough. Like I remember the first day I went to Ogilvy, Brazil. Like I actually wanted to like, throw up because like I was so anxious. Like I sat at my table. I was like, I wasn't feeling good. And there were the guys who came to me and they're like, hey, it's going to be okay. So big shout out to them too.
That's very cool that you had people like that, and especially the one who put you on uncomfortable situations. I'm a big believer that, you know, putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations, as scary and uncomfortable as it is, it's where the growth happens, you know, truly.
Oh yeah. I agree with you 100%. Honestly, like all of them put me in uncomfortable situations. I mean, Fran's always putting me in uncomfortable situations till this day. So,
Very
but
cool.
yeah, I mean, it's great though. And I agree with you though. Like, the comfort zone is like the enemy.
Yeah.
Like you
Oh my
gotta,
God, absolutely. Well,
yeah,
Pedro,
yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. It was so great hearing about your journey across, you know, different creative cultures and the way you approach ideas and craft. I always find it fascinating to get a glimpse into the thinking behind the work people see out in the world. So we really appreciate you sharing your perspective with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. And also thank you for inviting me to this podcast. I love talking. You probably noticed that. I talk too much maybe, but uh, no, it was fun. I really enjoyed, and yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
Awesome.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.